Hello, I am Burt Green and this is the Burt Locker. It's a sports, MMA show, whatever comes into my head really, whatever's in the locker. This one in particular is a casuals guide to UFC 291 that's taking place on Saturday. Now, the idea of these videos is that it's a quick hits run through of the entire fight card. Bits of information on every single fighter, every single fight. And I usually aim to get it done in less than 20 minutes, sometimes around 15, depends how much I'm going into each fight. But there's information on every single one. So the idea is that you're at least armed with some knowledge so that when you watch the whole fight card, you'll see some names that pop out at you. Oh yeah, I know, yeah, this guy does this. Or, it's designed so that you can get the most enjoyment out of watching the card that you watch on Saturday. So let's get cracking. We're going to start off on the early prelims. First fight, Miranda Maverick taking on Priscilla Cachoeira. That's the 125-pound ladies. 5'3", plays 5'7", with a half an inch reach for Maverick. That can't be right. Maverick, she's very talented when she's on form, but when she isn't, she can be very frustratingly bad because we all know how good she is. Right? She's got decent stand-up, but the grappling's where she normally puts people away, but she's too unreliable to really pick for me anyway. Cachoeira, she had her UFC debut against Shevchenko. That is a rough one. You know what I mean? So that shows how good they thought she was anyway when she was coming in. But that was a fair while ago. Just to put it into perspective, Lyoto Machida was the headliner of the card that she debuted on. So that was a fair old time ago. Her record's pretty good. Knockout record for ladies. 7 out of 12 by knockout. Her kickboxing is a strong suit. Maverick's a heavy favourite, but for me, I don't know. She's too hit and miss to reliably pick. I will take Cachoeira by decision. Single knockout, but either way, you'll get good odds on Cachoeira. I don't think Maverick's a reliable favourite. I'd say that. Matthew Simmelsberger takes on Uros Medic. 170 pounds, welterweight division, 6'1", plays 6'1", 4-inch reach for Simmelsberger because I believe he's coming down a division to be fair, or going up. No. This is at 155. Sorry, that's my fault. Anyway. Simmelsberger, he underperformed at 170, and this one is actually at 155 pounds. It confused me because Simmelsberger he normally fights at welterweight, which is 170. So he should, in theory, be the bigger, more physical guy here. Medic, he's really tough. His first fight at 155, he's very good. His first fight was against Jalen Turner, who was an absolute killer at the time. So he lost that one, but actually, that's his only loss. His only loss is to Jalen Turner. That's crazy, isn't it? So all 8 of his wins are by finish as well. He has a very fluid way of striking. He generates a lot of power without kind of over swinging, if that makes sense. He looks like he's not hitting hard. He's hitting very fast, but he really can crack. I like Medic in this one. I think he's going to be too fast for Simmelsberger, and he hits too hard. I think he puts Simmelsberger away there. CJ Vergara takes on Vinicius Salvador, 125-pound division. 5'6", play 5'7", with a 2.5-inch reach for Salvador. Now, CJ is a Dana White's Contender Series alumni. He looked very good on there, to be fair. Really nice knee to the body, and then he finished the dude. So, look. He's got very good striking. He's got a decent knockout rate, 7 of 11 by knockout. He's pretty well built for 125, maybe too well built because he has missed weight in the past. I don't know if that's the easiest cut for him, honestly. Now, Salvador is much leaner. He looks longer. He looks more like a 125er, honestly. He's also a Dana White's Contender Series alum. He got a good finish there, but he lost his debut. But to be fair, all of 14 of his wins have been finishes. So even though that's mostly on the regional scene, you've got to like that kind of finish rate for a 125-pounder because that's pretty impressive. I'm going to take Salvador to add his 14th knockout to his resume here, although it's worth noting that CJ Vergara has never been knocked out, so that might be a terrible bet. So that was the early prelims. We'll now move on to the prelims. If you enjoy this content, hit subscribe, please. Thank you. Jake Matthews, the Aussie, taking on Darius Flowers, 170-pound division, welterweight, sorry. Matthews is a solid fighter out of Australia, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. He's kind of good everywhere the fight goes, but again, he's one of these guys that's just a little bit hit and miss. Like sometimes he can just look flat, and that's where he generally gets beaten. Flowers won on the 2022 Dana White's Contender Series. I do remember he picked the dude up and slammed him, but that's why it kind of stuck in my head. I was like, I'm sure I've seen this guy before, and that was where it was. He won by slam. You don't see too many of those. So look, He's got good hands. None of his 8 knockouts are in the UFC, so that's, you know, a little bit of a litmus test. So look, I'm going to take Jake Matthews here. I think he's a heck of a test for a UFC debut. He's probably too tough of a test. I think Jake Matthews may by submission in this one. I think he's probably too well-rounded, slightly too high a class of competition when you've never fought in the UFC before. But we shall see. You've got Roman Krylov taking on Claudio Ribeiro. So Kepilov. So 6 foot plays 6'1", 2-inch reach for Ribeiro. Now Krylov, he's a Russian. He's primarily a kickboxer. He's got very nice body kicks. He's on a 2-fight win streak. Now Ribeiro, he's got no relation to Alfonso Ribeiro. That's a terrible joke, by the way, and I do apologise for that. No, I mean, I don't really apologise, but Alfonso Ribeiro, he's the guy, Carlton in The Fresh Prince, but I make that joke every time. Anyways, Kopylov is a good kickboxer. Ribeiro is also a very good kickboxer. A dangerous Brazilian. He's got 11 wins, 11 knockouts. This is probably fight of the night, honestly. I'm going to take the Russian here, but with zero confidence, really. That one can go either way, but make sure you tune into it, because 2 middleweights that have got that kind of knockout rate, that's going to be fun. Derek Lewis then takes on Marcos Rogerio de Lima in the heavyweight division. 6'3", plays 6'1", with a 4-inch reach for Lewis. Now Lewis, what can you say about him? He's the last of a dying breed. He's a bar fighter that happened to find his way into the UFC. Really, he's tied for the most knockouts in UFC history with Matt Brown. So Lewis, he's going to be wanting to get that record back. He used to have the record by himself, but he's now tied. He wants it back. Unfortunately, he's not really been on the best form lately. He's only got 1 win in his last 5, but he has been fighting some absolute killers. You know, Pavlovich, Tuivasa, Ciryl Gane, those kind of guys, the top level of the heavyweight division. And for De Lima, he is a monster, right? He runs in, he throws heavy, and he leaves generally. He does have a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt as well, which is, he relies on when needed, but he prefers to run in there and just really throw down, which is going to be fun. It's going to be fun, especially when he's fighting someone like Derek Lewis. This is a big fight for Lewis. As I mentioned previously, look, he's been demoted to the prelims. This isn't even a prelim headliner. This is an odd place to have Lewis on the card, if I'm totally honest. I think that you'd get more value for Lewis on the main card, main event prelim at the least, because this is going to be a slugfest as well. My concern here is that the blueprint for beating Lewis on the feet has been written. The guys like, Ciryl Gane went in there, was just too quick for him. Pavlovich went in there, was just too quick for him. Even Tuivasa was a little bit too quick for him, and that's why he won that one. So, I think De Lima's going to have the speed advantage here. He's a slightly smaller, faster heavyweight, and Lewis has just tended to struggle with those guys. As much as it pains, but we could see him. I don't know what you do with Derek Lewis after 4 straight losses. 4 straight losses by finish as well. I don't know what you do with him after that, especially a 4 straight loss and he's on the prelims. I don't know. I'd hate to see him gone. I would, because he's a valuable commodity for the UFC. So I'd love to see him win here. I'm going to say Lewis is going to win here. I don't know. Look, in an exchange, if Lewis lands, he's probably knocking you out. He's going to be bigger. He's going to be stronger. Maybe he's been working on his hand speed. I'd like to think that he has. I might be dreaming. I'm going to take Lewis for the knockout, but with no confidence at all, because De Lima's fast and he's nasty. Gabriel Bonfim then takes on Trevin Giles in the prelim headliner, 170-pound division. 6'1", plays 6 foot with a 1.5-inch reach for Giles. Bonfim, he's the undefeated Brazilian. He's the phenom. He'd submitted Munir Aziz in his first UFC fight. Did it with ease as well. He's got 14 wins, 11 submissions. It's no secret what he's going for. Then you've got Trevin Giles. He used to fight 185 and now cuts to 170. This seems to be the better weight class for him. He's on a 2-fight win streak. He's solid all round. He's fun, spectacular, but he does know how to win. He tends to win more decisions than he loses. But I cannot bet against Bonfim here. This is a showcase fight for him. Prelim headliner. He should make the most of it. Bonfim by submission in that one. I don't think it's any secret what he's trying to do. Then we've got the main card. So you do me a favour. Look, just if you enjoy this content, if you're enjoying this, hit subscribe. Thank you. Michael Chiesa takes on Kevin Holland in the first fight on the main card. So we've got 6 foot playing 6'3" with a 6.5-inch reach for Holland. That's a lot. Look, Chiesa, is it Chiesa or Chiesa? I'm going to say Chiesa. Anyway, Chiesa, he's a solid wrestler with very good submissions. His ground control is very good. He's strong and he wears people out, but his top game is really where he excels. His top game is crushing, right? The only problem is recently he spends a lot of time on the analyst desk. Is he 1 foot out, 1 foot in, 1 foot out? That's always a danger with some of these fighters that you see on the analyst desk a lot. Don't get me wrong, I want to see him set up his career. He's very good on the desk. I enjoy him, but it concerns me sometimes when they go into fights as well. Not always. Holland, he's a rangy former middleweight. He either looks spectacular or terrible. He talks a lot in the octagon, or at least he used to. Doesn't so much anymore. He is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, so he does know how to defend. His stand-up is really, really good. His fight IQ, not so much, because he often tries to just go where his opponents want to go so that he can fight that fight. But that's not how you win. We saw that against Stephen Thompson. He could have beaten Stephen Thompson if he'd just threatened with a takedown or done anything different at any point. And I understand the entertainment value of that, I do. And it is entertainment first and foremost, and I get that. And he does make a name for himself, but he's losing too often now. He needs to get back to what he was doing right, and he can do an awful lot right. He's very, very dangerous when he actually thinks about what he's doing. Frustrating sometimes, honestly. I think you should, win first, piss about later, is what I'd say. Anyway, this is an interesting one because Holland's main weakness for me historically is what Chiesa does very well. When Holland is being dominated with somebody who's got crushing top position, he hasn't looked good. Not historically anyway. I don't know. I'm gonna take Chiesa by decision. He hasn't looked good in his last 2 fights, but I just feel like his style, if he executes his style the way that he normally does, that's going to be playing into what Holland really doesn't like to do, which is be on his back, being smothered, being hit. I would take Chiesa by decision in that one with no confidence at all, because if Holland turns up and it actually fights to his abilities, then he's probably going to knock Chiesa out. It's a tough one to call that. Tony Ferguson then takes on Bobby Green in the 155-pound lightweight division. 5'11", plays 5'10", with a 5.5-inch reach for Tony. Now, Tony, what can you say, right? He's fun. He's a great character. He's unorthodox. He's out of his damn mind. But I always thought he was fun to watch, and he's very skilled. Obviously, he got great submissions, brilliant jiu-jitsu. He often gets things from an unorthodox position. His striking is very difficult to read because he's so unorthodox. That being said, I think he was being vastly overrated when it came to the Khabib conversation. I don't know if he would have done well in that fight. When you look at his 12-fight win streak, it's impressive number-wise, but you've got to bear in mind, his best performance by far in his career was against Rafael dos Anjos, and that was a long time ago now. He was outstanding in that fight, and that was against a world-class competition in Rafael dos Anjos. The only other guys that he fought in that win streak that you could really consider to be world champion caliber is like your Anthony Pettis, and he really struggled. People forget how two-sided that fight was. Do you know what I mean? They had to stop it because Anthony Pettis broke his hand. It wasn't because because Ferguson stopped him. Not really. He dropped Ferguson a number of times in that fight, and Ferguson also dropped Pettis as well. But I'm saying it was competitive, and they had to stop it because Pettis broke his hand on Ferguson's face, not anything else. So yeah, for me, I feel like he's now 39. I don't know how much longer we've got Tony in there, but just appreciate him whilst he's there because he is fun to watch. And I would say that with the greatest respect to Bobby Green, this is the step down in competition that perhaps Ferguson needs, because he got found out against Gaethje, but he's lost 4 more times since then. But look at the guys he's been losing to. They're all killers. Beneil Dariush. It's like even his last one against Nate, he played right into Nate's hands. I think this is a much more winnable fight for Ferguson. Bobby Green's got a great boxing, he's got a fun style, and when he's in the right fight, he'll get a good show, especially when he's allowed to headbutt people. Man, that headbutt against Gordon was fantastic. Good for him. This is a much more winnable fight for Tony, and I am going to take Tony to win here. By submission. I think Tony gets back to doing what he does well. I think Tony's going to mix up the striking with a takedown. He's going to find the submission. Don't call it a comeback, because it probably isn't. But if you can put him against these with the greatest of respect, more mid-level guys, I think Tony stands a good chance. At least I hope so, because I just want to see him get a win at this point. Then you've got Stephen Thompson taking on Michel Pereira in the 170-pound division. 6 foot, plays 6'1", 2-inch reach for Pereira. Now, Thompson is a fun fighter. When fighters engage with his stand-up, as we found out with the fight against Kevin Holland, as I just mentioned, he's absolutely brilliant. His karate's top-notch. His stand-up, do not mess around with his stand-up, right? Pereira, he's an explosive kickboxer, unorthodox, flipping athletic. See what I did there? Because he flips around all the time. Anyway, does a lot of capoeira-style stuff. He's got a sneaky Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, though, and he's almost got as many submissions as he does knockouts. So he does actually use his submissions rather a lot. For me, I'm going to pick Pereira here just because if he chooses to stand, he still has a chance, and Wonder Boy has a good chance in a stand-up fight. However, on the ground, I don't think Wonder Boy does have a chance, so it's going to be a submission win for Pereira, and I just feel like Pereira's got more ways to win it. Jan Blachowicz then takes on Alex Pereira, maybe for the vacant title, maybe not, I don't know, because I keep seeing conflicting things all over the place, so I guess I'll find out on the night if the title's actually on the line or not. 6'2", plays 6'4", with a 1-inch reach for Pereira. Now Blachowicz, former champ, Polish power, more importantly he's got excellent grappling, which is where most of the pundits seem to think that's where this fight is going. I thought that Blachowicz beat Ankalaev, to be fair. He is just very solid, he's got solid stand-up, solid fundamentals. That's what I like about Blachowicz. He just sticks. He does the fundamentals well. He does the simple stuff to an excellent level rather than doing the complicated stuff badly, which is what I like to see. He's just a definition of do the simple stuff well, and you will go far. And that's what he does. He also kicks shin to shin as well. I've noticed that in his fights. He's just got his bones are made of something different. His bones are just hard. Similar to Alex Pereira, honestly. Look, Alex Pereira, he's taken the MMA world by storm, slightly on the coattails of Israel Adesanya. Would he have gotten the title shot after, with his limited resume without having those wins over Adesanya in kickboxing? No, obviously not. But the story, people love the narrative, people love the story. People don't like sports, they like stories. I'm telling you, the story comes first, and the story was there. So, whatever, he beat Adesanya. He was the middleweight champion. Now he's potentially getting a shot at the vacant light heavyweight championship as well. He's so good standing up. His kickboxing is elite level. His low kicks are the sneakiest you'll ever see. He really is. And they call him Poatan, Hands of Stone. Hands of Stone is right. His power is ridiculous at middleweight, but he's also huge for a light heavyweight. So I still think that power is probably going to transfer. This is a tough one to call. I think people are just writing Pereira off after one loss, and they're saying that obviously, Jan's just going to take him down. But no, every fight starts standing, and Jan has said that he wants to try and stand with Pereira, which could be a mistake because Pereira's probably still got the power to put anyone out at light heavyweight. Honestly, I'm going to go with Jan just because he's got more ways to win. But we do have to remember that Jan Blachowicz is 40 now. Do you know what I mean? He's not getting any younger, so there's a certain point where that's going to make a difference. It might be now. And look, you don't want it to be making that kind of difference against someone like Pereira, because Pereira is ridiculous. His striking really is phenomenal. So really looking forward to it anyway. Then you've got the main event, Dustin Poirier taking Justin Gaethje. Got 5'9", playing 5'11", 2-inch reach for Gaethje. Now Poirier is a savage, we know. He's just willing to trade, get into dogfights, and he usually comes out on top in a dogfight. We've seen him destroy an unmotivated Conor twice in a row. We've in fact seen Dustin stop Gaethje before. So look, he's good anywhere the fight goes. He's the definition of well-rounded. He's just a fantastic talent. He's a fan favourite as well, which always helps. Gaethje, he's a warrior, he's a modern Chuck Liddell. He uses his wrestling in reverse to keep it standing so he can just stand and trade blows with whoever he is standing in front of. Now, he's linked up with a new striking coach, Trevor Whitman, who's one of the best in the game. That was the Ferguson fight. That was the real come-out party for his new striking partnership with Trevor Whitman, was that fight. And we saw a new Justin Gaethje. He's much more measured. He's still reckless. It's still chaos, but it's a measured chaos. And that's why Gaethje is so dangerous at this stage in his career. This is an interesting fight. I watched the first fight back again recently, and you know what? Both guys looked good in that fight until Gaethje seemed to fade a little bit in the fourth. That's where Dustin put him away. But I think it's because Gaethje was just putting too much on everything early on in the fight. With Trevor Whitman as his striking coach, he won't be doing that. I think that Gaethje with Whitman as the striking coach wins this fight against Dustin Poirier. But look, these guys are so evenly matched. It's a coin toss. Toss a coin, have a beer, enjoy the fight. That's what I'm going to be doing. Anyway, That's all I've got time for. That's the whole card, top to bottom. So I'll be doing some deep dives and some terrible bets close to the time. The odds aren't up yet for the methods, and you know I like to bet on those methods. So do me a favour, hit subscribe, and until next time, keep those odds long and those bets terrible.